Commemorations earlier this year marking 100 years since the Battle of Jutland, where Britain's Grand Fleet clashed with the German Navy during the First World War. For centuries, the UK's been a military superpower, protecting an empire that spanned a quarter of the globe. But times have changed. This is how defence spending has fluctuated in the past century. The two spikes are the First and Second World Wars. Spending's been steadily falling since the 1950s. And in the last 5 years, Britain's military budget's been slashed by a fifth, with troop numbers set to fall by 20,000 in 4 years' time. This is the HMS Belfast. The decommissioned warship is moored here in central London as a testament to a bygone age when the British Navy ruled the waves. The last British government, back in November, did try to increase military spending, citing security concerns. But that, of course, was long before the UK voted to leave the EU. So what next? General Sir Mike Jackson, the former head of Britain's armed forces, says Brexit will only weaken the British military even further.
Inevitably, those items, ancillaries, whatever they may be, that we do not manufacture in Britain itself and buy from overseas are going to be more expensive, given a 10% drop, roughly, in the value of the pound. And therefore, the British defence budget in British pounds will not go as far.
British forces have played leading roles in both Iraq and here in Afghanistan. Despite the decision to leave the EU, the UK says it remains a committed member of NATO, recently renewing its promise to spend at least 2% of GDP on defence for the next few years. Following the emergence of ISIL and the attacks in Paris and Brussels, the UK decided to spend most of its budget on the intelligence services, special forces and the Royal Air Force, with the biggest cuts to the Army and Navy. It's now almost unthinkable that Britain would and could ever wage war on its own.
The main metric of military capability is not the number of men you've got charging forward towards the enemy trenches. It's about the much more sophisticated command and control, intelligence, drone capabilities and so on and so forth that modern militaries such as our own and the Americans have.
But seemingly at odds with the recent budget cuts is the government's plan to spend $40 billion renewing the Trident submarine programme, the country's only nuclear deterrent. As Britain reduces its conventional armed forces, this may be one of the last remaining ways the country can punch above its weight. Neave, Al Jazeera, London.